Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into an ancient text to pull out a lesson that is just so timeless. It's all about what's truly worth inheriting. And it's a concept that really challenges our modern ideas about value, success, and what a teacher really wants for their students. So it all kicks off with this profound and honestly kind of mysterious instruction from the Buddha to his followers. He says, "Be my heirs in the teaching, not in things of the flesh." He's not telling them to inherit his robes or his begging bowl, but something way, way more valuable, his actual wisdom. And that right there, that's the central puzzle we're going to unpack. What does that even mean? It's all about a principle that puts lasting wisdom way above temporary comfort, inner strength over some kind of outer satisfaction. Okay, let's get into it. Now, this wasn't just some casual, off-the-cuff remark. The Buddha actually repeats this instruction, and he explains that he's saying it out of sympathy for his disciples. You can tell he's genuinely concerned about the kind of legacy they choose to carry on. He basically frames this as a matter of integrity. If his followers just chase after material things, the things of the flesh, then both they and he will end up being criticized. But if they become heirs in the teaching, their reputations stay totally clean. And to make this point impossible to miss, he tells a story. Okay, so now we get right to the heart of the matter with a super simple parable. It's just about some leftover food and two really hungry monks. But the choice they make, it's going to reveal everything. So picture this. The Buddha has just finished his meal, and he's got some food left over. He offers it to two of his hungry disciples, and he says, "Look, you can eat it if you want, otherwise it's just going to get thrown out." A simple choice, right? Seems like a no-brainer. And this is where it gets really interesting. See, it's not actually about the food. It's about what's going on inside their heads. The first monk, he remembers the teaching. He sees the meal as one of those things of the flesh and chooses principle over comfort, even if it means staying hungry. The second monk thinks, well, logically, I'll just eat the food, get rid of this weakness, and feel better. Now, on the surface, the second monk's choice seems perfectly reasonable, doesn't it? He was suffering from hunger, and he relieved it. But the Buddha's verdict is really counterintuitive, and it tells you everything about what he truly values. He praises the one who chose to stay hungry. But why? Why would you praise someone for choosing to endure discomfort when an easy fix is sitting right there? It almost sounds a little cruel, Well, it's because the benefit isn't about the short term. The Buddha explains that this one choice, this tiny act of sacrifice, is like a workout for the mind. It helps cultivate these powerful inner qualities like contentment and self-reliance. It shows that by giving up a little comfort, you can build spiritual muscle, not just get a full stomach. So after the Buddha finishes speaking and leaves, his lead disciple, a guy named Sāriputta, he picks up the lesson. He wants to make absolutely sure that everyone gets how to apply this idea not just in one moment, but as a consistent daily practice. Sāriputta basically frames this as the difference between really training and just backsliding. Because, it's one thing to hear a teaching, but it's a whole other thing to actually live it, especially when the teacher isn't around to watch you. And Sāriputta makes it incredibly clear. He lays out the exact behaviors, almost like a scorecard. The praised disciple, they actively train. They practice letting go. They avoid indulgence. The criticized disciple, well, they do the opposite. It's a really clear checklist for becoming a true heir in the teaching. Okay, so all of this naturally leads to the most practical question of all. We know what to avoid: indulgence, greed, being lazy, but how? How exactly do we give those things up? Sāriputta points out the core internal obstacles. These are the mental things of the flesh. It's not just about leftover food anymore. It's about all the negative stuff in our minds that weighs us down, like greed, anger, jealousy, vanity, all the things that stop us from truly inheriting the teaching. And the answer isn't just to try harder. This isn't about gritting your teeth and just using willpower. No. Sāriputta points to a specific, actionable path, what he calls a middle way of practice, that is designed to systematically deal with all these negative states. And here it is. This is the ultimate toolkit for becoming an heir in the teaching. It's the Noble Eightfold Path. This is the practical how-to guide, and it's not just one thing. It's a whole system that covers everything from your perspective and your thoughts all the way to your actions. Each part is a tool for transforming your inner world. And this isn't just a list of rules you have to follow. It's presented as the very path that leads to the goal. Practicing this way is what gives you the vision and knowledge to see things clearly, and to ultimately find peace and awakening. In a way, this is the inheritance. So, this brings the lesson from this 2,500-year-old text right into our lives today with a really personal question. Whatever your teaching might be, a spiritual path, a creative passion, a big life goal, what are the immediate comforts, the distractions, the habits that you might be choosing over the wisdom you actually want to inherit? It's a pretty powerful question to reflect on.
අයිබෝවන් අද අපි කතා කරන්න සූදානම් වෙන්නේ බුදුදහමේ හරිම වැදගත් සූත්‍ර දේශනාවක කොටසක් ගැන. ඒ තමයි ධම්මදායාද සූත්‍රය. භාග්‍යවතුන් වහන්සේ සවැත් නුවර ජේතවනාරාමේ වැඩ ඉන්න කාලෙක භික්ෂූන්ට දේශනා කරපු දෙයක් මේක.
ඔව් මේකෙදි අර මූලිකවම කියවෙන්නේ භික්ෂූන් වහන්සේලා උරුම කරගන්න ඕන මොකක්ද කියන එක. ඒ කියන්නේ ලාභ සත්කාර, කීර්ති ප්‍රශංසා වගේ දේවල්ද නැත්නම් ශ්‍රී සද්ධර්මයමද උරුමේ විය යුත්තේ කියන එක.
ඒක තමයි උන්වහන්සේ පැහැදිලිවම කියනවා නේද? අර ආමිස දායාදයට වඩා ධර්ම දායාදෙම උරුම කරගන්න ඕන කියලා.
හරියටම. මොකද ආමිසය පස්සේ අනේක, ඒ කියන්නේ ලාභ සත්කාර පස්සේ අනේක ශාස්ත්‍රුන් වහන්සේට වගේම ශ්‍රාවකයාට නින්දාවක්, අගෞරවයක් කියලා උන්වහන්සේ පෙන්වා දෙන්නේ. ධර්මයේ උරුම කරගන්න එක තමයි දෙගොල්ලන්ටම ගෞරවය.
මේක තව පැහැදිලි කරන්න භාග්‍යවතුන් වහන්සේ හරි අපූර්ව උපමාවක්. අර කතාවක් ගෙනව නේද? උන්වහන්සේ දන් වළඳලා ඉතිරි වෙච්ච දේ ගැන.
ඔව්. ඒක තමයි මේකේ හරිම වැදගත් තැනක්. උන්වහන්සේ දන් වළඳලා ඉතිරි වුණු දාණය එතන ඉන්න කුසගින්නේ ඉන්න භික්ෂූන් දෙන්නෙකුට පිළිගන්නවනා. එතකොට එක් භික්ෂුවක් කල්පනා කරනවා භාග්‍යවතුන් වහන්සේ අපිට කිව්වේ ධර්මය දායාද කරගන්න ආමිසය එපා කියලා. මේ ආහාර කියන්නේ තාමිසයක්නේ. මම මේක නොගෙන ඉන්නම් බඩගින්න වුණත් ඉවසනවා කියලා ඒක ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරනවා.
අනිත් භික්ෂුව
මට නම් ඉතින් බඩගිනි මේක වළඳනවා කියලා ඒ ආහාර වළඳනවා.
හැබැයි පුදුමේ කියන්නේ භාග්‍යවතුන් වහන්සේ අගය කරන්නේ ප්‍රශංසා කරන්නේ අර ආහාර ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරපු භික්ෂුවටනේ. බඩගින්න ඉඳලත් ඇයි එහෙම?
ඒක තමයි කාරණේ. අර භික්ෂුව ආහාර ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කිරීමෙන් පෙන්වුවේ මොකද්ද? ඒක නිකම්ම ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කිරීමක් නෙවෙයි. ඒ තුලින් පේනවා අල්පේච්ඡතාවය. ඒ කියන්නේ පොඩි දෙයකින් සතුටු වෙන ස්වභාවය. ලදදින් සතුටු වීම, සන්තුෂ්ඨතාවය. කෙලස් නැති කරගන්න තියෙන උනන්දුව, සල්ලේක ගුණය, වීරිය, විරිය ආරම්භය. ඒ කියන්නේ ಗುಣධර්ම ටිකක් ප්‍රගුණ වීමක්.
හරියටම ඒ ಗುಣධර්ම ටික ප්‍රගුණ කරන එක තමයි සැබෑ ධර්ම දායාදයට අයිති දේ. ඒ වෙලාවේ බඩගින්න නිවා ගන්නවට වඩා දිගු කාලීනව බලනකොට අර ಗುಣධර්ම ටික වර්ධනය කරගන්න එක අතිශයම වටිනව කියන එක තමයි බුදුහාමිදුරෝ අවධාරණය කරන්නේ. ඒකයි ආමිස දායාදයට වඩා ධර්ම දායාදේ උතුම් කියන්නේ.
ඒ කියන්නේ මොහතක සැපයට පහසුවට වඩා අර ආධ්‍යාත්මික දියුණුවට මුල් තන දෙන එක ගැන තමයි මේ කියන්නේ. හරිව පැහැදිලි. හරි. එතකොට මේ කතාවෙන් පස්සේ තව කොටසක් තියෙනව නේද මේ සූත්‍රයේ? සරියුත් මහ රහතන් වහන්සේ සම්බන්ධ වෙන?
ඔව්. භාග්‍යවතුන් වහන්සේ විවේක සුවයෙන් වැඩ ඉන්න වෙලාවක සරියුත් මහ රහතන් වහන්සේ අනිත් භික්ෂූන් අමතලා තව කාරණයක් ගැන කතා කරනවා.
මොකද
ඒ තමයි ශාස්ත්‍රුන් වහන්සේ විවේක සුවයෙන් හුදකලාවේ ඉන්නවනම් ඇයි ඇතම් ශ්‍රාවකයෝ ඒ ආදර්ශය ගන්නෙ නැත්තේ? ශාස්ත්‍රුන් වහන්සේ විවේක සුවයෙන් ඉන්නකොට ඒ පසින් ශ්‍රාවකයොත් ඒ විදිහක හික්මෙන්න ඕනේ නේද? එහෙම හික්මෙන අයත් ඉන්නවා නොහික්මෙන අයත් ඉන්නවා. ඇයි එහෙම වෙන්නේ කියන එක.
ඒ කියන්නේ බුදුරදුන්ගේ ආදර්ශය පවා අනුගමනය නොකරන අය ගැනත් කතා වෙනවා.
දන්නේ නැහැ.
හරි.
තුන්වෙනි කාරණේ බාහුල්ලික වෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ අනවශ්‍ය විදිහට ලාභ සත්කාර පස්සේ යනවා, සිව්පස්සේ එකතු කරනවා, ධන ලෝභය වගේ දේවල්. අර ධර්මයට වඩා බාහිර දෙයට වටිනාකමක් දෙනවා. මේ කාරණා තුන නිසා ඒ භික්ෂුව නවක කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, මධ්‍යම කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් තැරනමක් වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්, ගැරහුමට ලක් වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ.
ඒ කියන්නේ තරාතිරම අදාළ නැහැ මේ වැරදි කරනවා නම් ගැරහුමට ලක් වෙනවා.
ඒක තමයි.
හැබැයි ඉතින් ඒ අතරම හරියට මග යන විශ්ණු තින්නේ නැති නේද?
තෙම තෙර ભેදයක් නැතුව ශාස්ත්‍ර වහන්සේ වගේමයි විවේකේ ප්‍රගුණ කරනවා, අකුසල් ප්‍රහාණය කරනවා, අනවශ්‍ය දේවල් රැස් කරන්නේ නැහැ, ධර්මය අගය කරනවා, භාවනාවට බාධා වෙන දේවල් අත්හරිනවා. අන්න ඒ භික්ෂූන් ප්‍රශංසාවට ලක් වෙනවා කියලාත් කියනවා.
එතකොට අර ගැරහුමට ලක් වෙන තත්වෙන් මිදිලා මේ ප්‍රශංසාවට ලක් වෙන මට්ටමට එන්න නම් මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕන? විශේෂණ අර කිව්වේ ප්‍රහාණය කළ යුතු අකුසල ධර්ම කියලා. මොනවද ඒ?
සරියුත් මහරහතන් වහන්සේ එතනදී ලොකු ලයිස්තුවක් දෙනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ලෝභය, ද්වේෂය, ක්‍රෝධය, ඒ කියන්නේ තරහව, උපනාහය, ඒ කියන්නේ වෛර බැඳීම, මක්ක, අනුන්ගේ ಗುಣ මකන එක, පලාස, අර තරංගකාරීත්වය, අනුන් එක හැපෙන ගතිය, ඉස්සා, ඊර්ෂාව, මච්චරිය, මසුරුකම, මායා, ඒ කියන්නේ රැවටීම, සාඨය, කපටිකම, තම්බ, අර තද ගතිය, නොනැමෙන බව, සාරම්භ, අනුන් හෙලා දෙකීම, උඩඟුකම, මානය, අතිමානය කියන්නේ උඩඟුකම තවත් වැඩි වුණු තැන, මදය, තමන්ගේ කුලය, රූපය, බලය ගැන මතුවීම, පමාදය, ඒ කියන්නේ ප්‍රමාදය, නොසැලකිල්ල, මේ වගේ ගොඩක් පාපී අකුසල ධර්ම තියෙනවා.
බරපතල ලයිස්තුවක් වගේ. ඉතින් මේවයින් මිදෙන්න මාර්ගය මොකද්ද?
අන්න ඒකට තමයි සරියුත් හමුදුර කියන්නේ මධ්‍යම ප්‍රතිපදාව අනුගමනය කරන්න ඕනේ කියන.
මධ්‍යම ප්‍රතිපදාව. ඒ කියන්නේ අර අන්ත දෙකෙන් මිදුණු මැදමාවත. ඒක හරියටම මොකද්ද?
ඒ තමයි ආර්ය අෂ්ටාංගික මාර්ගයම. සම්මා දිට්ඨි, ඒ කියන්නේ නිවැරදි දැක්ම, සම්මා සංකල්ප, නිවැරදි කල්පනාව, සම්මා වාචා, නිවැරදි වචනය, සම්මා කම්මන්ත, නිවැරදි ක්‍රියාව, සම්මා ආජීව, නිවැරදි දිවි පැවැත්ම, සම්මා වායාම, නිවැරදි උත්සාහය, සම්මා සති, නිවැරදි සිහිය, සම්මා සමාධි, නිවැරදි සමාධිය. මේ මාර්ගය තමයි අර කලින් කියපු ලෝභ, ද්වේෂ, මාන, පමාද වගේ අකුසල් ප්‍රහාණය කරන්න තියෙන එකම ක්‍රමය. ඒකෙන් තමයි ධම්මචක්ඛෝ, ඒ කියන්නේ දහම් ඇස පහළ වෙන්නේ, නුවණ ලැබෙන්නේ, කෙලස් සංසිඳෙන්නේ, විශේෂ ඥානය, අභිඥා ලැබෙන්නේ, සත්‍ය අවබෝධය, ඒ කියන්නේ සම්බෝධිය ලැබෙන්නේ, අවසානයේ නිවන සාක්ෂාත් කරගන්න පාර තමයි මේක.
ඒ කියන්නේ අර අකුසල් දුරු කිරීමයි මේ මාර්ගය වඩන එකයි කියන්නේ දෙකක් නෙවෙයි එකක්.
ඔව්, එකම ක්‍රියාවලියක්. උදාහරණයක් ගත්තොත් අර අකුසල් ප්‍රහාණය කරන්න වීරිය කරන්න ඕන කියවනේ ඒක තමයි සම්මා වායාම කියන්නේ. අර ප්‍රමාදයෙන් මිදෙන්න ඕන කියවනේ ඒකට තමයි සම්මා සති, නිවැරදි සිහිය අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ. මේ විදිහට මාර්ගයේ හැම අංගයක්ම අර අකුසල් දුරු කරන්න උදව් වෙනවා. එහෙම බලනකොට මේ සම්පූර්ණ සූත්‍රයෙන්ම කියවෙන්නේ අර බාහිර දේවල් ආමිස දායාද පස්සේ දුවන එක නතර කරලා මේ ආර්ය අෂ්ටාංගික මාර්ගය කියන ප්‍රායෝගික වැඩපිළිවෙල හරහා තමන්ගේ හිත දියුණු කරගන්න එක තමයි බුදුරතුන්ගෙන් ලැබෙන සැබෑම උරුමය. ඒ කියන්නේ ධර්ම දායාදය කියන එක නේද?
හරියටම හරි. ඒක තමයි මේ සූත්‍රයේ හරිය. ධර්ම දායාදය කියන්නේ නිකම්ම පොතේ තියෙන දැනුමක් නෙවෙයි. ඒක ජීවිතයට එකතු කරගන්න එක, ප්‍රගුණ කරන එක. ආර්ය අෂ්ටාංගික මාර්ගය තමයි ඒක ප්‍රගුණ කරන ක්‍රමවේදය. අන්න ඒක අනුගමනය කරලයි අර සරියුත් තෙරුන් පෙන්වපු ගැරුමට ලක් වෙන තත්වයෙන් මිදිලා ප්‍රශංසාවට ලක් වෙන අන්තිමට විමුක්තිය කර යන ගමන යන්න පුරුවන් වෙන්නේ.
හරිම වටින සාකච්ඡාවක්. ඉතින් අවසාන වශයෙන් අපිට පොඩ්ඩක් හිතන්න දෙයක් ඉතුරු වෙනවා වගේ මේ ඉගැන්වීම, ඒ කියන්නේ ආමිසයට වඩා ධර්ම දායාදය වටිනවා කියන එක, ඒ වගේම අර කෙලෙස් දුරු කරලා ආර්ය අෂ්ටාංගික මාර්ගය වඩන්න ඕන කියන එක, පැවිදි උතුමන්ට වගේම අද සමාජයෙන් ගිහි අපිටත් කොයිතරම් දුරට අදාළද? අපේ ඉදිනදා ජීවිතයේ ප්‍රශ්නවලට, අභියෝගවලට මුහුණ දෙද්දී මේ ධර්ම කරුණු කොහොමද පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක ගැනත් අපි ටිකක් හිතලා බැලුවොත් හොඳයි නේද?
ඔව්, ඒක ඇත්තටම හිතන්න වටින කාරණයක්. මොකද මේ ලෝභ, ද්වේෂ, මාන්න වගේ දේවල් ගිහි පැවිදි කාටත් තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නනේ. ඉතින් ඒවයින් මිදෙන මාර්ගය හැමෝටම අදාළයි.
Have you ever felt just completely overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information? You know, everything flooding your senses every single day.
Oh, absolutely. The news, social media, emails, messages.
It's just constant, a deluge, really. How do we even start to cut through all that noise to find insights that are actually meaningful?
Yeah, the kind of wisdom that makes a real difference, not just more mental clutter.
Exactly. Well, today we're going to dive into this idea that maybe some of the oldest wisdom traditions, you know, far from being outdated, offer profound clarity precisely because they're timeless and focus on, well, mastering our inner world.
That's a great way to frame it.
Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to take a powerful, illuminating journey into some ancient Buddhist texts.
Really foundational stuff.
Yeah. Specifically, we're going to unpack excerpts from the Middle Discourses 3, Heirs in the Teaching, and then we'll move to Venerable Sāriputta's really brilliant and incredibly practical explanation of the Noble Eightfold Path.
The cornerstone of the teachings.
It really is. And this isn't just about, understanding historical doctrines or dusty philosophy. Our real mission here is to extract the core teachings, yes, but also their deep practical implications.
Right. How to.
The mindset, the essential mindset, and maybe most importantly, the actual steps required to truly inherit this wisdom, not just passively absorb information.
Inherit, not just learn about. That's a key distinction.
We really want you, listening, to walk away from this deep dive feeling not just informed, but well-equipped.
And what's truly fascinating here is the nature of our source material. We're not dealing with, interpretations layered on interpretations or modern takes.
No, this is direct.
It's direct records of teachings, insights straight from the Buddha himself, and then from one of his chief, most insightful disciples, Venerable Sāriputta.
Yeah, renowned for his wisdom.
Absolutely. So this offers an unparalleled window, really, into the foundational principles of a spiritual and philosophical tradition that has shaped, billions of lives over millennia.
It's basically the bedrock, isn't it? The foundation upon which centuries of profound thought and practice have been built, pretty much unadulterated.
Exactly.
And here's why this deep dive is so incredibly relevant to you right now, regardless of your background or beliefs. This isn't just, a trip back in time. Ancient history.
It's living wisdom.
It really is. It's about uncovering a timeless, proven framework for navigating the complexities of modern life. It's about understanding and hopefully overcoming inner obstacles that we all face.
Things like anxiety, frustration.
Feeling overwhelmed, yeah, all of that. And achieving a sense of clarity and peace that often feels so elusive in our hyper-connected, information-saturated world.
It feels harder and harder to find sometimes.
Totally. So this knowledge is directly applicable to anyone seeking to be more well-informed, but not just in terms of facts about the outside world.
Right, it's a holistic sense.
Yeah, holistic. About what it means to live skillfully, wisely, and with genuine well-being. Think of it maybe as a deep dive into the operating manual for your own mind.
I like that analogy, an operating manual.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our journey kicks off near Savatthi in Jedda's Grove and Athapitita's monastery. It's a place that comes up a lot in the discourses.
It's a frequent setting, yes.
So here the Buddha is addressing a group of mendicants, his disciples, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those who've renounced worldly life to follow his path.
Mm-hmm.
And his central instruction, his core directive to them, it's strikingly direct. Almost radical, really. He says, "Mendicants, be my heirs in the teaching, not in things of the flesh."
Wow. Straight to the point.
Right. That's a pretty powerful opening statement, especially from a spiritual leader. It immediately sets a tone, doesn't it? What's the immediate takeaway here, beyond just the literal words? What's it imply about the legacy he wants?
Well, what's immediately fascinating, I think, is that precise framing of purpose, the very nature of the inheritance he's talking about.
Yeah.
The Buddha isn't telling them, gather possessions, build an empire, establish some grand institution in his name. None of that.
No temples, no gold.
Exactly. Instead, he's setting the primary legacy he wishes to impart, and it's entirely non-material. He's drawing this clear, really uncompromising distinction between two kinds of inheritance.
Okay.
On one side, you have things of the flesh. Now, that includes physical possessions, sure, but also bodily comforts, even the most basic needs for survival: food, shelter, clothing.
The essentials, basically.
Essentials. But they're transient, they're perishable, ultimately external. And then on the other hand, he presents the teaching, the Dhamma,
Right.
which encompasses the principles of wisdom, the path to liberation, the deep understanding of reality itself. This is an intellectual, a spiritual, an internal inheritance.
An internal inheritance. That's a powerful way to put it.
And this statement, right off the bat, establishes a profound hierarchy of value. The teaching holds supreme importance over anything transient, anything physical.
Everything else is secondary.
Pretty much. It's a radical call for detachment from material dependency. Just think about how countercultural that was, even in ancient India, let alone in our modern consumerist societies.
Absolutely. We're bombarded with messages to want more, have more.
Exactly. So it's not just about what you learn intellectually with your head. It's about what you become in your inner being and what you carry forward
as a living legacy.
Ah, a living legacy.
Yes, it's a fundamental reorientation of what constitutes true wealth or genuine security. Most of us, we're conditioned to think of security in terms of accumulation.
Savings accounts, property, job stability.
Right. And the Buddha is challenging that very definition. He's suggesting that true security and freedom aren't found in having more, or even in having enough.
So what are they found in then?
In the profound ability to not need in the same desperate way, it's a liberation from the anxiety that comes bundled with material attachment.
Okay, liberation from that constant wanting, that anxiety. That makes a lot of sense, seeing it as a total reorientation of values.
That's fundamental.
So it's not just a suggestion, it's the foundational directive. But then the Buddha goes on to explain why this distinction, this prioritization is so incredibly crucial.
There's a reason behind it.
Yeah. He says, quite pointedly, that if his disciples become heirs in things of the flesh and not in the teaching, it will make them liable to accusation.
Ah, accusation. Interesting.
Yeah, and the accusation would be something like, the teacher's disciples live as heirs in things of the flesh, not in the teaching. And importantly, he adds that he himself, the Buddha, will also be liable to the same accusation.
So it reflects back on him too.
Directly. But conversely, being heirs in the teaching avoids that accusation, for both them and for him. So what does this concern about accusation really mean? It sounds like a deep concern about reputation, maybe, but perhaps something more profound about the path's integrity.
I think that's exactly right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really underscores that the path isn't just an individual journey. It's profoundly communal. It's holistic.
Right, it affects everyone.
Yes. This concern about accusation isn't merely about public perception, how the community looks from the outside, though that's certainly part of it. It's deeply rooted in upholding the integrity, the purity, and the efficacy of the spiritual path itself.
So it's about keeping the teaching pure.
Exactly. An accusation of prioritizing material things implies a fundamental misunderstanding, or even worse, a betrayal of the core values the teaching represents. It suggests the essence of the Dhamma is being diluted, distorted, undermined by the very people who claim to follow it.
That would be a disaster for the tradition.
It would. And it highlights the ripple effect of individual actions. Each disciple's conduct directly impacts the collective reputation of the community and, crucially, its founder.
So everyone carries that responsibility.
Everyone. The Buddha's sympathy for them, which is mentioned in the text, isn't just like a gentle lament or detached observation. It's an active, compassionate desire to prevent them from straying from the true, liberating path.
He wants them to succeed, to get it right.
He wants them to understand the profound responsibility they carry, not just for their own spiritual progress, but for how the teaching itself is perceived, understood, and passed down through generations.
That's a huge weight.
It is, and it's a universal principle, really. Think about how, even today, an organization's values or a brand's reputation are judged by the actions of its members or employees.
Oh yeah, one bad apple.
Exactly. One person's misstep, especially if they're prominent, can cast a shadow on the whole group and its mission. But conversely, one person consistently upholding those values can elevate everyone.
Leading by example.
It's about leading by example and understanding that your personal conduct reflects directly on the principles you claim to uphold. It ensures the authenticity and power of the teaching for everyone who encounters it. It's a guardian role, really, far beyond personal practice.
Wow. Understanding the integrity of the path through the actions of its followers and that ripple effect. That's powerful. And then here's where it gets really interesting, because the Buddha doesn't just leave it at abstract principles or warnings about reputation.
He makes it practical.
He gives us this incredibly vivid, relatable parable, a practical example to illustrate what it means to truly be heirs in the teaching. He describes a scenario. He has eaten, he's full, and he has some extra alms food. And frankly, it's just going to be thrown away, discarded.
Leftovers.
Leftovers. Then 2 hungry mendicants approach him.
Yeah.
The first mendicant thinks to themselves very deliberately, alms food is one of the things of the flesh. The Buddha said, be my heirs in the teaching, not in things of the flesh. Instead of eating this, I will spend the day and night weak with hunger. And that's what they do. They abstain.
A conscious choice.
A very conscious choice. The second mendicant, though, takes a different approach. They think, I will eat this alms food, then spend the day and night rid of hunger and weakness. And that's exactly what they do.
The more, perhaps, practical approach on the surface.
Yeah, I mean, most of us, if we're being honest, would probably relate to mendicant too, right? You're hungry, food's available, it's going to waste otherwise. Eating seems sensible, practical, even compassionate to yourself.
Seems logical.
But here's the astonishing part. The Buddha's verdict. Even though mendicant 2 relieved their hunger, felt better, functioned more comfortably, it is the first mendicant, the one who chose to stay hungry and weak, who is more worthy of respect and praise.
That is surprising.
Isn't it? Why? What's the deeper, maybe counterintuitive lesson here? Choosing hunger and discomfort over immediate relief, especially when the food was just going to be tossed, it really challenges our usual ideas of practicality and well-being.
It absolutely does. And this anecdote, this story, raises a fundamental question about true strength, true liberation, and, well, the nature of our priorities.
Okay.
The Buddha's praise for mendicant 1 isn't about promoting asceticism just for its own sake or endorsing self-deprivation arbitrarily. That's not the point.
So it's not just about suffering is good.
No, not at all. It's about something far deeper. It's about understanding that true liberation, true freedom, comes from loosening the grip of attachment, even attachment to basic survival needs.
Loosening the grip.
Okay. And the reason given in the text for why mendicant 1 is more worthy is incredibly profound. It holds the key to the whole lesson. It says, because for a long time that will conduce to that mendicant being of few wishes, content, self-effacing, unburdensome, and energetic.
Those 5 qualities, that's the payoff.
That's the payoff. This is the core practical example from the source. It shows what being an heir in the teaching actually looks like in concrete, challenging action.
So it's about the long-term character development.
Precisely. Mendicant 1 makes an active, deliberate choice to prioritize principle, the Buddha's teaching, over immediate physical comfort. It's not about masochism. It's about fostering specific, incredibly valuable virtues that ultimately lead to profound and lasting inner freedom.
Okay, let's break those down. Those 5 qualities sound really important. What do they really mean in practice?
They are absolutely central. Let's take them one by one. First, to be of few wishes. This means reducing cravings and desires. Think about our modern world. We're constantly bombarded with messages to desire more, consume more.
Buy this, need that.
Exactly. The Buddha suggests that endless wishing, endless wanting, is a fundamental source of our dissatisfaction, our suffering. Being a few wishes means finding a deep satisfaction in simplicity, recognizing that true contentment isn't about adding more things, but about letting go of the constant need for them.
It's a mental shift.
A huge mental and emotional simplification that frees up immense energy.
Okay, few wishes. Then content.
Second, content. This means finding satisfaction with what one has right now, rather than constantly seeking external fulfillment or being driven by that nagging sense of lack.
So appreciating what's already there.
Yes, but it's not passive resignation. It's an active, joyful acceptance of the present moment and your circumstances. Finding peace and sufficiency. Imagine the mental space, the peace that opens up when you're not constantly chasing the next thing.
That sounds restful.
It is. Third, self-effacing. This implies humility, a lack of ego-driven assertion. It means recognizing the impermanence and interconnectedness of everything, and therefore not being consumed by self-importance or personal preferences.
Less me.
Pretty much. In a practical sense, it means being easier to teach, more open to feedback, less likely to fall into the trap of self-congratulation or self-pity. It prevents you from becoming a burden because your ego isn't constantly demanding attention or special treatment.
Okay. And unburdensome. That sounds related.
Fourth, unburdensome. It definitely extends that idea of self-effacement. It means not being a drain on the community, on others, or even on yourself physically or mentally.
How so?
Well, this mendicant, by choosing to endure hunger, isn't creating work or worry for others. They're demonstrating self-reliance, resilience, but in a broader sense, it applies to our mental state too, not burdening ourselves or others with excessive demands, complaints, or emotional turmoil.
Okay, keeping things simple, not causing trouble for others or yourself.
Right. And finally, fifth, energetic. This signifies a sustained spiritual vigor and diligence. This isn't physical energy like running a marathon. No, it's a mental and spiritual dynamism. It means not being lazy, complacent, or slack in pursuing the teaching. The act of choosing hunger, which seems depleting, actually fuels a different kind of energy.
What kind of energy?
The energy of resolve, purpose, spiritual conviction. It's the inner drive that keeps you actively engaged on the path.
So choosing the principle gives energy in a way.
In a very important way. So this seemingly small choice by mendicant 1, not eating the food, isn't about a fleeting moment of self-denial. It's about actively cultivating these 5 profound virtues.
Few wishes, content, self-effacing, unburdensome, energetic.
Exactly. Understanding that doing so, even at immediate personal physical cost, yields far greater lasting spiritual benefits. It's a radical redefinition of true wealth or well-being, shifting focus from external acquisition to internal cultivation.
And the key action item there is?
Prioritizing the cultivation of these inner qualities, making deliberate choices day by day that reinforce them. Understanding that this sustained effort, this discipline, leads to genuine, lasting liberation.
Wow. That is an incredibly rich breakdown. So it's not about suffering itself, but about cultivating this state where you're less dependent on externals for well-being, a state of profound inner freedom.
That's the core of it.
That's a huge distinction, and frankly, a challenging one in our world, where convenience and immediate gratification are, well, they're celebrated.
They're the norm, almost.
But the narrative continues. Soon after the Buddha delivers this incredibly profound teaching, he gets up and enters his dwelling. But what's striking is the discussion doesn't just end there.
No, it keeps going.
It's immediately picked up by Venerable Sāriputta, one of the Buddha's chief disciples, right? Renowned for his wisdom, his analytical mind.
Yes, often called the general of the Dhamma.
What does that tell us about the continuity of these teachings and Sāriputta's crucial role here? He seems to be bridging the abstract principle with, like, the practical application.
Exactly right. That seamless transition is highly significant. It tells us the Dhamma, the teaching, isn't meant to be just a series of theoretical lectures you hear and then forget.
It's not just academic.
No, it's a living tradition, meant to be immediately processed, discussed, applied. Sāriputta's immediate intervention highlights his role as a master interpreter and a practical guide.
Okay.
The Buddha laid down the broad principle, the ultimate goal be heirs, in the teaching. And Sāriputta, with his keen insight, immediately bridges that abstract teaching with its daily, granular, practical application.
He brings it down to earth.
He does. He recognizes that while the principle is powerful, the practical application is where it truly transforms lives.
So what does he ask?
He turns to the other mendicants and poses this follow-up question that directly addresses the practical side of the Buddha's teaching. He asks, Reverends, how do the disciples of a teacher who lives in seclusion not train in seclusion? And how do they train in seclusion?
Okay, seclusion. That's the key word.
It is. And the mendicants, recognizing Sāriputta's wisdom, they defer to him. They ask him to clarify the meaning. This concept of seclusion is central to his inquiry. What does that word even mean here? Is it just, going off into the woods to meditate alone? Or is there something deeper, more internal?
Right, because the Buddha himself wasn't always physically alone, was he? He taught huge crowds.
Exactly. So we connect this to the bigger picture. Seclusion here isn't merely physical absence from others. Or retreating into a cave, though, that can certainly help certain practices.
So what is it then?
It's primarily an internal state. Sāriputta is asking about being secluded from unwholesome states of mind, from distractions, from desires, from the very bad things he's about to list.
Oh, okay. Inner seclusion.
Inner seclusion. The Buddha himself lived in a state of profound inner seclusion, even while teaching, engaging with large groups, interacting with the world. He was physically present, but mentally detached from the defilements, the mental clutter.
So present but not entangled.
Perfectly put. So Sāriputta is asking, how does one live the teaching in practical terms, especially when the teacher, the Buddha, embodies this state of deep inner peace and detachment?
How do we cultivate that inner sanctuary?
Exactly, that mental space free from the clamor of craving, aversion, delusion. How do we engage with the world, but not get ensnared by its lures or repelled by its difficulties? This is a crucial pivot from the big principle, heirs in the teaching, to the granular daily effort needed to embody that inheritance in your mind and actions.
Finding that inner quiet, that inner retreat, no matter where you are physically.
That's it, precisely.
That makes perfect sense. It's a state of mind, not just a location. And Sāriputta doesn't waste any time, does he? He immediately describes, in pretty clear terms, the disciples who do not train in seclusion. The ones who are, frankly, criticized.
He lays it out clearly.
He says these disciples don't give up what the teacher tells them to give up. They're indulgent and slack, and they become leaders in backsliding, completely neglecting seclusion.
Pretty damning description.
Yeah, and he makes it explicit that this criticism applies across the board, senior, middle, junior mendicants. It's not about experience or rank, it's about commitment. So what does it specifically mean to be indulgent and slack? And how does being a leader in backsliding undermine not just their own progress, but the teaching itself?
Well, this provides a crystal clear negative example, doesn't it? Detailing common, very human pitfalls in any path of self-improvement, really, not just spiritual ones.
True.
To be indulgent and slack indicates a profound lack of sustained effort and self-discipline. It means giving into immediate gratifications, comforts, choosing the path of least resistance, which is the direct opposite of the Buddha's call to prioritize the teaching over things of the flesh.
Right, when the going gets tough.
They choose comfort. When the teaching demands letting go or effort or a difficult choice, these individuals choose ease. Think about it in modern terms. It's the person constantly opting for instant gratification over long-term discipline.
Endless scrolling instead of focused work.
The unhealthy snack instead of mindful eating, avoiding difficult conversations or uncomfortable truths. It's a state of mental laziness, moral complacency that just prevents real transformation.
Okay. And leaders in backsliding. That sounds even worse.
It is, because it highlights not just a personal failure, but a negative influence on others. It suggests they're not only failing in their own practice by being indulgent, but their behavior sets a poor example. It potentially drags others away from the path.
They normalize laxity.
Exactly. Their actions implicitly say, it's okay not to put in the effort, or these teachings aren't really that serious, and that erodes the collective commitment, the integrity of the community. In any group striving for a goal, those who don't uphold the standards can become obstacles for others.
Intentionally or unintentionally.
Right. And finally, neglecting seclusion reinforces that idea of failing to cultivate that crucial inner peace, that detachment we talked about.
They don't build the inner sanctuary.
No. They allow their minds to be cluttered with unwholesome states, distractions, desires. They remain vulnerable to the world's pull because they haven't built that internal strength. And the fact that Sāriputta says this applies to all ranks, senior, middle, junior, emphasizes that commitment transcends experience. It's about consistent, active engagement.
These are really powerful warning signs then, behaviors to watch out for in ourselves, the antithesis of being an heir in the teaching.
Absolutely. A clear cautionary tale, highlighting the subtle ways we can undermine our own growth and the path's integrity. But then, as he often does, Sāriputta flips the coin.
The positive example.
Yes, he describes the disciples who do train in seclusion and are praised. These are the ones who give up what the teacher tells them to give up.
The opposite of the first group.
Exactly. They are not indulgent and slack, not leaders in backsliding, and they are not neglecting seclusion. And again, this applies to all ranks. So what's the core difference in their approach? And what does that active giving up truly look like in practice? Even if the text doesn't give us like a step-by-step manual right here, this is where the practical action really starts to reveal itself.
Yeah, that active giving up, it raises that question of agency, doesn't it? Active engagement. The core difference seems to be exactly that it's active. It's not passive acceptance, not just theoretical agreement. It's an active, ongoing process.
A process
of relinquishing unskillful habits, unwholesome mental states, attachments. While the text doesn't give a step-by-step guide in this section, it implies consistent, deliberate, moment-to-moment effort. This giving up is a radical act of transformation.
Can you give an example? What might that look like day to day?
Sure. In daily life, giving up might look like, say, choosing patience over anger when someone frustrates you at work. Instead of letting the anger just take over, you actively give it up. Or it might mean prioritizing ethical conduct in your job, even if it means passing up some quick, maybe slightly dishonest gain.
Right, livelihood in action.
Exactly. It could mean consciously turning away from distractions when you're meant to be focused on a task or a conversation. Or choosing generosity when a stingy impulse pops up, deciding to share your time or knowledge instead of hoarding it.
Even subtle things.
Even subtle things, like noticing a judgmental thought about someone and actively choosing to replace it with understanding or compassion. It's that active replacement, that active letting go.
So it's constant, conscious work.
That's where the rubber meets the road for being an heir. It's consistent effort, cultivating the inner discipline to align your actions, speech, thoughts with the Dhamma. It's the daily work of self-transformation. Every choice, no matter how small, becomes an opportunity to reinforce the path.
Letting go of what hinders, cultivating what helps.
Exactly. It's not about losing something valuable. It's about shedding the burdens that stop us from experiencing real freedom and well-being.
That's a great way to put it, shedding the burdens. Okay, so Sāriputta has explained what it means to train, or not train, in seclusion, and the huge implications. Now he moves to the how.
Right, the specifics.
He starts identifying specific bad things that need to be given up. These are precisely the obstacles to achieving that inner seclusion. And he lists them as dualities, often like two sides of the same coin or deeply connected.
What are they?
Greed and hate, anger and acrimony, disdain and contempt, jealousy and stinginess, deceit and deviousness, obstinacy and aggression, and finally conceit and arrogance, and vanity and negligence.
Wow. That's a pretty comprehensive and timeless list of human failings. As listeners, I'm sure many of those resonate with our own experiences.
I think so too. They're very human.
Can you elaborate a bit on why these specific pairs are so problematic? How do they block that inner seclusion Sāriputta emphasized?
Sure. It is a remarkably comprehensive list. These bad things are essentially the unwholesome mental states and behaviors that prevent inner peace, lead directly to suffering, and disrupt our ability to see reality clearly.
They cloud our vision.
They really do. They're all expressions of fundamental human afflictions. Attachment, like greed, aversion, like hate and anger, or ignorance, like vanity and negligence. Each pair represents a common human failing that, when it goes unchecked, becomes a major roadblock to seclusion, that internal freedom from disturbance.
Okay, maybe let's quickly unpack each pair. Their destructive power seems immense.
Good idea. Let's start with greed and hate. These are seen as fundamental defilements, root poisons. Greed drives that endless seeking, never finding satisfaction, always wanting more. Hate drives repulsion, creating animosity, conflict both inside us and with others. They just bind us to suffering.
The push and pull.
Exactly. Then anger and acrimony. Anger is that immediate hostile reaction. Acrimony is the bitterness, the resentment, the lingering hostility that poisons relationships and your own mind long after the trigger's gone. They destroy peace.
Holding grudges, basically.
That's a big part of acrimony, yes. Then disdain and contempt. These are forms of arrogance, a sense of superiority that distances us from others. It prevents empathy, understanding, their barriers to connection, and true wisdom, which recognizes we're all interconnected.
Looking down on people.
Precisely. Next, jealousy and stinginess.
Yeah.
Jealousy is suffering because someone else has something you want: success, possessions. It's rooted in insecurity, comparison. Stinginess is the inability to share, rooted in possessiveness, fear of lack. Both breed isolation and unhappiness.
Yeah, those are poison.
They really are. Then deceit and deviousness. Deceit is intentional falsehood, lying. Deviousness is cunning, underhanded behavior. Both erode trust, lead to tangled lives, and create a mind that's constantly guarded, untruthful. Makes genuine self-reflection almost impossible.
Hard to be honest with yourself if you're not honest with others.
Exactly. Obstinacy and aggression. Obstinacy is stubbornness, refusing to yield or change your mind even when you're wrong. Aggression is active hostility, often verbal or physical attacks. Both are about rigid self-will, the desire to control. They lead to conflict and prevent learning.
My way or the highway.
Sort of, yes. Then conceit and arrogance. Conceit is that inflated sense of self-importance. Arrogance is the outward display of it, often belittling others. These are expressions of a deluded self-view, a lack of self-awareness. They blind us to our true nature and the wisdom of others.
The ego running wild.
Oh, I can see that. And finally, vanity and negligence. Vanity is excessive concern with outward appearance or achievements. Negligence is carelessness, a lack of diligence or attention. Both indicate a shallow focus and a failure to apply yourself to what truly matters, cultivating wisdom, getting rid of these defilements. They prevent real growth.
Focusing on the superficial, or just not paying attention.
Right. What's striking is how universally relevant these remain. Time, culture doesn't matter. Almost anyone listening can probably identify with at least one, if not several, of these patterns in their own lives.
For sure.
They are precisely what need to be given up to cultivate true wisdom and that inner peace, that seclusion. They are the internal noise that stops us from hearing deeper truths.
Okay, so Sāriputta lists all these bad things, very human, very relatable patterns, but then he offers the solution, right? The antidote.
Yes. Crucially, he doesn't just leave us with the problem list.
For every single one of these pairs, he states, there is a middle way of practice for giving up, like greed and hate. And this middle way, he says, gives vision and knowledge and leads to peace, direct knowledge, awakening, and extinguishment.
That's quite a promise.
It sounds almost too good to be true. What's so special about this middle way that allows it to tackle such a wide array of human problems? And what are these incredibly powerful, almost transcendent outcomes it promises? Peace, awakening, extinguishment.
Wow. It is an incredible promise, and it gets right to the heart of the practical application of the Dhamma, the blueprint for transformation.
Okay.
The middle way is absolutely crucial because it's a path that meticulously avoids extremes. It steers clear of both self-indulgence, where you just give in to every desire, chase sensory pleasure endlessly, and harsh asceticism, where you deliberately inflict suffering or extreme deprivation hoping for spiritual gain.
Right. The Buddha tried both extremes himself, didn't he?
He did. Before his awakening, he experienced both, and found neither led to true liberation. Self-indulgence just leads to more craving, more dissatisfaction, and harsh asceticism, though it might look virtuous, often just leads to exhaustion, physical and mental, without producing real insight.
So the middle way avoids those dead ends.
Exactly. It emphasizes balance, moderation, and skillful engagement with reality, rather than escape or suppression. It's about finding that sweet spot where wisdom and compassion can actually flourish, like tuning an instrument, not too tight, not too loose.
Skillful engagement.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's about meeting life as it is, with understanding and skillful action, without getting swept away by desires or repelled by difficulties.
Okay, and the outcomes. Vision, knowledge, peace.
Yes, and they're not just amazing outcomes, they're cumulative and interconnected. Let's look at them. Vision and knowledge means developing deep insight into how things really are. Seeing reality clearly, free from the distortions of greed, hate, delusion.
Seeing through the BS, basically.
You could put it that way. It's not just intellectual understanding, but direct, experiential knowing. A clarity that changes your whole perspective. You don't just know about suffering, you see how it arises and ceases within you.
Okay, then peace.
Peace is the calming of the mind, the end of inner turmoil, inner conflict, a profound inner stillness that isn't shaken by external stuff. It's tranquility that comes from loosening the grip of those bad things.
A deep calm.
Yes. Direct knowledge refers to intuitive, immediate understanding, often linked to higher states of meditation, is knowing that bypasses regular thought processes, a deep, non-conceptual realization.
Like an aha moment, but much deeper.
Much deeper. Awakening is the ultimate goal. Enlightenment, Buddhahood, complete liberation from suffering and the cycle of rebirth, the profound realization of ultimate truth, an unconditioned state of perfect wisdom and compassion.
The big prize.
The ultimate prize. And extinguishment, nibbana or nirvana, is the final cessation, the end of craving, aversion, and ignorance, the roots of all suffering. It's often likened to a flame going out.
Going out, like disappearing.
Not ceasing to exist, but ceasing to burn with the fires of desire and suffering, leaving behind profound stillness, freedom, unshakable inner calm, the permanent end of dissatisfaction.
Okay, extinguishment of the burning, not the person.
Exactly. So what's special about the middle way is its practicality and its effectiveness. It's not just philosophy. It's a systematic, step-by-step approach that leads to these ultimate fruits, transforming suffering into profound, lasting well-being. It's a path that invites active engagement, not just passive belief.
Okay, that's incredible. A universal antidote leading to these profound states. And then Sāriputta explicitly defines this middle way of practice, the one that yields all these results.
He names it.
He says it is simply this Noble Eightfold Path, and then he lists the 8 components: right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right immersion.
There it is. The core practical teaching.
This is it, the core. For listeners who might know the terms but maybe not the depth, can we really walk through each of these rights one by one? Like, what does right view truly mean beyond a simple definition? And crucially, how do they all connect? How do they form a cohesive, gradual path, not just a checklist? This feels like where the rubber really meets the road for being an heir in the teaching.
Absolutely. This is precisely where the wisdom becomes actionable. It provides a comprehensive curriculum, you could say, for transformation, a detailed roadmap for cultivating that inner seclusion and freedom from the bad things.
A curriculum for life.
Pretty much. Each right isn't just a concept. It's a domain of daily practice, an active action item for our lives. And it's crucial to understand, as you said, that while we list them 1 through 8, they're meant to be cultivated simultaneously. They're deeply interconnected, mutually reinforcing.
Not a linear checklist, then.
No. This is the essence of the gradual path to use the teachings. Okay, let's start with right view, samadhi.
Number 1, the foundation.
Exactly. It's the foundational understanding, the intellectual and experiential framework that informs everything else on the path. It means understanding reality as it truly is, free from delusion.
Seeing clearly.
Seeing clearly. In essence, it's about comprehending the 4 noble truths. The truth of suffering, dukkha, its origin, samudaya, its cessation, nirodha, and the path to its cessation, Magga, which is this Eightfold Path.
So understanding the problem, its cause, that there's a solution, and what the solution is.
Perfectly summarized. It's the clarity that lets you see that chasing endless desires leads to dissatisfaction, that impermanence is just the nature of things, that genuine peace comes from letting go of attachment.
And for you, the listener, how does this apply?
For you, right view means more than just nodding along with the doctrine. It's about actively questioning your own assumptions, observing your own experience directly, developing an intuitive grasp of how suffering arises and how it can cease in your own life.
Paying attention to your own mind.
Yes. Without this correct understanding, our efforts in the other areas might be misguided, like trying to fix a complex machine without the blueprints or knowing how it works.
You need the right map before you start the journey.
Precisely. To make sure you're heading the right way and understanding why you're taking each step. It's the discernment that guides all the other actions.
Okay, foundational understanding. What's next? Right thought.
Next is right thought, Sammasankappa. This is about cultivating wholesome intentions, the quality of our inner monologue, you could say, the direction of our mental energy.
What we think about, basically.
And how we think about it. It involves three key aspects: thoughts of non-ill will, thoughts of non-hatred, and thoughts of renunciation.
Okay, break those down.
Non-ill will means actively cultivating loving kindness, or metta, towards everyone, including yourself. Moving away from thoughts of hostility, resentment, desiring harm. Non-hatred is closely related, fostering compassion, karuna, empathy for others, moving away from aversion or animosity. And renunciation is a willingness to let go, letting go of craving, attachment, selfish desires. It's not about denying pleasure, but seeing the fleeting nature of attachment and choosing freedom from its grip.
So it's actively shaping your intentions.
Yes. In practice, right thought means actively challenging and transforming thoughts that are harmful, self-centered, or driven by aversion, transforming them into thoughts that are expansive, kind, beneficial for you and for others.
How do you do that?
It involves continuous self-reflection. Asking yourself, what's the quality of my thoughts right now? Are they contributing to peace or turmoil? It's about purifying the very source of our actions and words. Recognizing every action starts as a thought.
It's mental discipline.
Active cultivation, mental discipline. Redirecting your mind away from, say, judgmental loops or obsessive desires towards kindness and clarity.
Okay, right view, right thought, then right speech. This sounds very practical.
Right speech, samavaka, is incredibly practical. A direct example of ethical conduct in daily life, and it's surprisingly impactful. It means avoiding 4 unwholesome kinds of speech and cultivating their wholesome opposites.
4 things to avoid.
Yes. First, false speech, lying. So actively cultivate truthful speech. Not necessarily brutal honesty without care, but speaking what's true when it's appropriate and helpful.
Okay, truthfulness.
Second, divisive speech. Slander, gossip that creates disunity. So actively cultivate harmonious speech. Speech that brings people together, resolves conflict, fosters understanding. Hugely important today.
Yeah, especially online.
Definitely. Third, harsh speech. Abusive, rude, aggressive words. So actively cultivate kindly speech. Speaking with gentleness, politeness, compassion, even when delivering difficult news.
Tone matters.
Immensely. Fourth, idle chatter. Meaningless, frivolous talk that just wastes time and energy. So actively cultivate beneficial speech, using words with purpose to share wisdom, encourage, inquire, uplift, not just filling silence or seeking attention.
Purposeful communication.
Right, and as you mentioned, in today's digital age, right speech absolutely extends to online interactions. Emails, social media messages. Are our words creating harmony or discord? Truthful or misleading? Kind or harsh?
It's using words as a tool for peace, a concrete daily action item.
Absolutely. And closely related is right action, samkamanta. This governs our physical conduct, what we do with our bodies.
Okay, actions speak louder.
Well, they're certainly crucial. It means abstaining from 3 main unwholesome actions. First, killing, which extends beyond human life to causing harm to any living being, fostering reverence for life, nonviolence.
Don't harm.
Second, stealing, taking what's not freely given, respecting others' property, the principle of ownership.
Don't steal.
Third, sexual misconduct, engaging in sexual activity that's exploitative, harmful, or breaks trust and ethical boundaries.
Act ethically in relationships.
Yes. The emphasis here is on acting in ways that are non-harming, compassionate, ethical towards all beings, ensuring our physical interactions align with kindness and respect. This is where our values become tangible behavior.
Making sure your actions contribute to well-being, not suffering. Basic morality, really.
It's the foundation. Following that is right livelihood, say ajiva. This applies these ethical principles directly to how we earn a living, our daily work.
Okay, this can be tricky in the modern world.
It definitely can be. It means avoiding professions that inherently harm others or contribute to suffering. The source material and Buddhist teachings generally specify avoiding trades dealing in. Weapons, things used to harm or kill. Living beings, meaning slavery, animal trade for slaughter, exploitation of sentient beings. Meat, trading in meat. Intoxicants, substances that cloud the mind, lead to heedlessness. And poisons, substances that cause harm or death.
That's quite specific. What's the practical takeaway for us today?
The practical application is to ensure your daily work, your means of sustenance, isn't fundamentally at odds with your ethical development or the well-being of others. This is a profound challenge in our complex global economy.
Sure.
It's about trying to align your profession with your deepest values, even if it means making difficult choices. It asks us to consider, does my work create more suffering or less? Does it contribute to harmony or discord? It encourages seeking work that's genuinely beneficial, not just for ourselves, but for society.
An ongoing reflection for anyone trying to live an integrated ethical life.
Absolutely. Then we come to right effort, samavayama. This is the dynamic energy, the sustained mental vigor that really permeates the whole path.
So not just trying hard.
No, it's skillful, intelligent effort, directed towards mental purification and cultivation. It's often described as a fourfold effort, like a mental hygiene strategy.
4 parts.
4 parts. 1. To prevent unwholesome states from arising. This is proactive. Like, if you know certain news sites always make you angry,
Right.
effort means choosing not to visit them, setting boundaries for your mental input.
Stop trouble before it starts.
2. To abandon unwholesome states that have already arisen. This is reactive. If anger does flare up, right effort means consciously applying an antidote, maybe compassion, maybe mindfulness, to let it go, not just stew in it. Don't let negative emotions take root.
Deal with it skillfully when it happens.
3. To arouse wholesome states that have not yet arisen. This is constructive. Actively cultivating qualities like generosity, patience, loving kindness, even when you don't naturally feel them, like deliberately doing something kind.
Plant good seeds.
And 4. To maintain and perfect wholesome states that have risen. This is sustaining effort. If you've cultivated some calm, right effort means continuing practices that support it. Don't get complacent.
Keep the good stuff going.
Exactly. So it isn't just about putting in work. It's about skillful, intelligent effort focused on mental purification. It's the inner drive fueling our growth. Recognizing that just wishing for change isn't enough. Sustained conscious engagement is needed.
That applies to pretty much anything in life, doesn't it? Learning a skill, improving relationships.
It's a universal principle of directed mental energy.
Okay. Next is right mindfulness, samasati. This one is probably pretty well known today, central to meditation.
Yes, it's gained a lot of attention. It involves paying keen, non-judgmental attention to the present moment.
To what specifically?
To your body, your feelings, your mind itself, mental objects, thoughts, images with clarity and non-judgment. It's the practice of being fully aware of what's happening as it's happening without getting swept away by thoughts, emotions, external stimuli.
Just noticing without reacting.
Noticing without getting entangled. For you, the listener, this means consciously bringing your attention, say, to your breath, or physical sensations, or emotions as they arise, or sounds around you, without getting lost in stories or judgments about them, observing your mind without being consumed by it.
Like when you're driving, are you actually paying attention to driving or lost in thought?
Perfect example. When you're eating, are you tasting the food or scrolling on your phone? This cultivation of present moment awareness is crucial. It allows us to see insightfully, to detach. It lets us observe those bad things, that flash of anger, that urge of greed as they arise, and choose not to claim. It creates the space to apply right effort.
Awareness enables conscious choice. Freedom.
Precisely. And finally, number 8, right immersion, sammasamadhi, often translated as right concentration.
Okay, concentration.
This is about developing deep, unwavering states of concentration. This leads to mental stability and profound insight. Through sustained focus, the mind becomes calm, clear, unified. It provides a powerful basis for wisdom to emerge.
Sounds like deep meditation.
It is the culmination of the path, allowing for deeper transformative understanding and eventually awakening. But for an ordinary person, it doesn't necessarily mean attaining deep meditative states for hours on end, although that's the aim for advanced practitioners.
So how does it start for us?
It begins with cultivating sustained attention in daily tasks. Can you fully listen in a conversation without your mind drifting? Can you focus intently on a challenging work problem without distraction, even for just a few minutes? Can you mindfully engage with a simple chore, like washing dishes, giving it your full attention?
Training the mental spotlight.
That's a great way to put it. Instead of it flitting uncontrollably from one thing to another, you learn to steady its focus, to direct it intentionally. This mental discipline provides the stable ground for deeper wisdom to arise. It lets you see through the mental clutter and experience those states of peace and direct knowledge. It's the pathway to inner calm and profound insight.
Wow, that's a truly illuminating breakdown of the Noble Eightfold Path. It's so clear that these aren't just isolated steps. They're deeply interconnected, mutually supportive. This really is the gradual path to use the teachings, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Progress in one area seems like it would inherently support progress in others. It's such a holistic approach to life. Addressing every facet of our being, understanding, intentions, speech, actions, livelihood, our very mental landscape.
That's exactly right. The Noble Eightfold Path is presented as holistic, integrated. While it has 8 distinct parts, they aren't necessarily linear steps you complete one after another. They're meant to be cultivated simultaneously, and they reinforce each other.
Can you give an example of that reinforcement?
Sure. A clearer right view naturally informs better right thought and right action. Improved right mindfulness strengthens right effort and makes right immersion easier to develop. Better right livelihood reduces inner conflict, which supports right speech and right action.
It's like a virtuous cycle.
It is a continuous cyclical process of refinement. Progress in one area often provides the momentum for growth in another. This gradual path emphasizes the sustained, consistent effort required to truly embody the teaching, to make it part of your being, not just a concept you know about.
And the action items are embedded right in each right element.
Exactly. Speaking truthfully, earning an honest living, maintaining diligent awareness, cultivating wholesome intentions. These are the daily practices. Over time, they lead to profound transformation, slowly chipping away at those bad things Sāriputta listed.
Okay, so Sāriputta reiterates that the same path, the Noble Eightfold Path, leads consistently to those incredible outcomes: vision, knowledge, peace, direct knowledge, awakening, extinguishment for every single one of those bad things he listed earlier. Greed, vanity, anger, all of them.
Yes, the same path works for all of them.
What's the significance of that universality? What does it tell us about the nature of these inner obstacles in the path itself? Why does one path resolve such diverse afflictions?
Well, what's truly fascinating there is precisely that underlying unity. It implies that these diverse bad things, greed, hate, anger, conceit, negligence, all the rest, they ultimately stem from common roots.
What are the common roots?
Namely, craving, which is attachment, aversion, which is dislike or hatred, and ignorance or delusion. These 3 are often called the 3 poisons in Buddhist thought. They're seen as the fundamental causes of suffering.
The 3 poisons, okay.
And because these obstacles share that common underlying origin, the Noble Eightfold Path can serve as a unified, comprehensive antidote for all of them. It doesn't need a different specialized solution for each individual problem or symptom. It offers a universal framework that addresses the underlying patterns of mind that give rise to all these afflictions.
So it tackles the root cause, not just the symptoms.
Exactly, and the consistency of the promised outcomes, vision and knowledge, peace, direct knowledge, awakening, and extinguishment for each of the bad things, underscores the path's efficacy and its profound depth.
It really works.
It tells us that diligently following the Noble Eightfold Path, no matter which specific obstacle you feel most affected by right now, will invariably lead towards a consistent state of liberation and profound understanding. It's a testament to the path's power to address the root causes, leading not just to temporary relief, but to permanent, unshakable peace and ultimate freedom.
That's incredibly hopeful.
It assures the practitioner that their efforts, systematically applied across these 8 interconnected areas, will inevitably bear the ultimate fruit of spiritual freedom and genuine well-being. It's a comprehensive, integrated solution to the human condition itself.
And there you have it. What an incredible journey we've taken today. A deep dive into ancient wisdom that feels remarkably relevant right here, right now.
It really does hold up, doesn't it?
It truly does. We started with the Buddha's profound radical call. Heirs in the teaching, not in things of the flesh. A directive fundamentally reorienting our priorities away from transient comforts towards enduring wisdom.
Shifting our whole value system.
Yeah. We saw how that principle impacts not just us, but the integrity of the whole path, vividly shown in that almsfood parable.
Right. Praising disciplined adherence to principle over immediate gratification.
And cultivating those key qualities.
Yeah.
Few wishes, content, self-effacing, unburdensome, and energetic.
We then followed Venerable Sāriputta as he meticulously unpacked the practical side of the Buddha's teaching.
Yeah, distinguishing clearly between disciples who train in seclusion, cultivating inner peace by actively giving up unwholesome states, and those who don't. Those who become indulgent and slack, even leaders in backsliding.
His critique and praise really highlighted the consistent, conscious effort needed to embody the teaching daily, showing that inner transformation is an active, ongoing process.
And finally, Sāriputta revealed the ultimate solution, the middle way for overcoming all those bad things like greed, hate, anger, conceit. The Noble Eightfold Path.
The roadmap.
The roadmap. We walk through each of its 8 interconnected components: right view, thought, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, and immersion, understanding them not as abstract ideas, but as concrete, actionable practices.
A gradual, holistic curriculum for profound transformation.
A path that, consistently and skillfully applied, promises those universal outcomes: vision, knowledge, peace, awakening, and extinguishment from suffering.
And the source material ends with just a simple but powerful note. Sāriputta's words were approved. The mendicants rejoiced in his teaching.
Yeah.
And that isn't just, a historical footnote. It feels like an invitation, a profound challenge to us right here, right now.
Less so.
Consider how the daily choices you make, what information you consume, how you speak, how you earn your living, and especially where you direct your mind, your intentions, how all those choices are either making you an heir in things of the flesh,
Or a true heir in the teaching. So, the final thought for you listening. What small, deliberate step from the Noble Eightfold Path could you prioritize today? Maybe just focus on one aspect. Could you begin cultivating, even a little, the qualities of few wishes, contentment, self-effacement, and energy that the Buddha praised in that first mendicant?
just one small step on that gradual path.
Yeah. How might consciously choosing the teaching over the flesh, prioritizing internal cultivation over external acquisition or immediate gratification, how might that transform your relationship with information overload, with your desires, and ultimately with your own deepest well-being and sense of purpose?
It's a continuous, lifelong practice, isn't it? A gradual path inviting us to actively engage with our own minds.
Cultivating wisdom, one skillful step at a time.